All right, everybody. Welcome to the moth-hawk project. And this is extremely important to tell. I actually wanted to make it a planned stream. Sadly, OBS is being a fucking piece of shit, and I figured out what the problem was. Don't blame me here, by the way. The problem is that if I have OBS on, well, having the selection of the stream, it actually doesn't work. But if I alt tab, that is the main problem. So somehow alt tabbing is causing the main issue with the recording of the device. Luckily, I can still do it the original way, which is, make it again and then, do the stream again. So I hope this is now fixing most of the issues. And today I actually wanted to do some of the tree. So I want to get this thing done right now. And that is because why I'm doing it now instead of later this day. It is because of I actually need to do sports today. So yeah, being unable to do stream is a very bad idea. So yeah. Today we're gonna be just drawing wood again, and hopefully, nothing crashes, nothing disconnects, or no funny business is happening. And until then, we're gonna just do the thing that we needed to do in the first place, which is technically, working on the texture for the tree. All right. So, what I have been up to today, I actually got myself the food I needed for today's, food before I'm gonna go doing sports. So I did that. I bought myself some new peanut butter because it was actually empty. And I am now also almost done with the pillar for the vision novel. So I'm almost done for the first pillar, and I need to make 4 of them. So I should be fine after I finish the first one. I could technically copy paste it, but I will just copy it and then redesign it a bit so that it doesn't look the same as the other ones. So different textures in it, but the same model. All right. So since that is the thing, since that is actually the thing that I have been doing, I'm very happy to see that I'm now finally doing the stream again. So that's all good. It is getting a little bit colder these days, but nah, I don't mind. Honestly, I'm actually quite used to it anyway. It's like, well, I'm luckily not living in a tent. I'm living in a house, so it's pretty good isolated here. All right. So, working on this, it makes things go bad, go good. And right now we're just figuring out or I am at least figuring out all right, I have now this big giant empty space that I'm having here. And I now need to move upwards towards getting this all up and running again. And by doing that, it will be fine. So, everything would be now good. I mean, it is already a decent amount of stream, hopefully. Double checking. Yep, it's still running. Good. I don't trust this thing at all. I don't trust the live streaming system at all. Well, you crash on me like this, or you crash on me like that. Oh, hell no. This is a trust issue. I can do the things that I want to do in the first place, but if I have trust issues caused by, literally cancellation of the stream, it is absolutely terrible. Because, well, I want to show off that I'm actually doing the stream. I want to show off that I'm actually doing the drawing. But so far, we're doing actually quite great. The amount of stuff that we need to do here is quite hard to do. That's true. We need to make bark, but we need to make the bark in such a way that it doesn't. How do you say that? We don't want to make the bark look like it's the same bark all over again every single time. We don't want to make a repeat of the texture that I'm using. Therefore, making uniqueness into the drawing is a very good idea. That is also why I'm doing with the other drawing I'm doing right now, the background. For the visual novel, the pre-log background, I believe it is, yes. I also did the making sure of the whole damn part. It is very important that such things are done, because if I don't do it, it will look awful. It causes a lot of issues. I am not the best at designing things. I'm not the best at drawing things when it comes to such things, but it is important for me to make sure that the eye is pleased. If the eye an eye can spot repetition in a drawing or repetition in an artwork, and if it sees such repetition, it causes sometimes to. If it is used too much, it can cause tiredness of the effect that is being used. So if you draw every single time the same goddamn heart shape, for instance, it will cause a major exhaustion for the shape that you're using, which is bad. Don't get me wrong; it's very bad, but it should work sometimes. It can work. It will work sometimes, but it is not working in a drawing that is actually designed like this. For instance, right now we're trying to get this tree up and running, and we cannot have the tree not look, like a tree. If the texture is not divided among the tree itself, if the texture is not unique to the tree, it can cause major issues in the drawing itself. It can cause major issues in the way of how people see it from happening. So if people look at the drawing, it's like, oh well, you just copied and pasted. There is no uniqueness to it. So it doesn't create a specialty in the drawing itself. This is good if you want to make a very bland, very uninteresting background that will, spark the main character that you're trying to represent. But the main problem in that is that it is absolutely not good in the representation of it. Like, if you go for, if you have a soldier on a battlefield, and the battlefield looks every single time the same, and you look at the soldier and yeah, you can see the soldier, it's spotlighted like that, but eventually your eye gets tired of the spotlight and then needs to move on to a new place. But it can't. That is the important part. It cannot move to another place. Because every single time it looks at the background, it's like, well, I just see the same thing. I am done here. The eye is done investigating. And because it is done investigating, it actually creates this kind of tiredness of the texture itself. This is very problematic if you want to make an interesting art piece and be like, I created this, and why is nobody looking at it anymore? Well, then, that is the main problem. Because people are no longer looking at it, people are tired of looking at the same goddamn picture every single time. It creates tiredness inside of the drawing, and therefore, people are getting bored. They will skip over it. They won't look at it again. They're like, oh, this thing again. I have seen it many times. So yeah, that's why I'm always very cautious when I'm using textures, because, well, if it is a copy, then you're in a hard time if you're using it too much. All right. You can make the same thing twice. It's just using a mirror is good, but it is not always the best idea. Sometimes the textures won't work, or sometimes it's not fixed properly, and it can cause major issues. All right, where was I? Yeah, I was busy getting the tree done. So what I want to do here is just move onwards and onwards. So I want to get to this point right here. That is my main goal for today. So today I'm doing sports. It's all gonna be inside because it is getting cold outside, and well, it's not good for the muscles. And I'm trying to get hopefully the food done before I need to leave outside of my house to get doing the sports. I also have been I also have been applying for a job. The main issue there is that if I would work too much, I would technically not be able to afford the house that I'm currently renting, because technically that is not allowed. I hope, however, that if I'm able to work enough hours, I will get the same amount of money that I'm now currently owning, but without the problem of having to work less. That is the main demotivation that I'm currently working with. Like, all right, if I want to work, I'm actually earning less money than I don't work. It is a little bit very bad, but oh well, it happens. It happens. So since that is a thing, I'm currently busy with that, figuring out like, all right, what do I need to earn to actually earn more than I'm now currently earning without causing me to earn less. And that is always a thing, you want to make sure that your mathematics are correct, and therefore, you need to look into things and see things the way you want them to see. Because technically, if you're working and you're earning less than you actually when you don't work, why would you work? That's the main problem. And that is also the main demotivation that I'm always having, like, well, I could technically do this, but it would earn me less than I would have done if I would technically work. So then the benefit is like, all right, what kind of benefits would it give me? Well, that is not what I'm aiming for. I'm actually aiming for not gaining more benefits. I don't care about the benefits. I'm caring about that I'm doing the job and I'm earning more than I'm already earning, so that I'm going upwards and not staying in the same place. That is, how do you say, planning to be successful? Yeah, let's put it that way. Yeah, planning to be successful is a good way to say it. Like, if you want to earn more money, then, well, you have to work for it. Correct. But if you earn less than if you don't work, if you work and you earn less than if you don't work, then, it's not a good way to work, because technically you could just quit and have the same amount. So to make sure that I don't fall into that category, I'm trying to, I need to do some information calls, talking to some people, say like, hey, I'm interested in this work, but if I don't earn more than I'm already earning, then, well, I call it quits, because, well, it's not profitable. It's not profitable enough for me to do. And of course, I could technically also just work and then, earn less money, and therefore, having the same amount of money, but that doesn't work either, because then you're still stuck in the same problem. Yeah, that is always a great thing to have, You don't have to work to earn money, but you do have to work to earn money. But if you do work to earn money, you earn less. Yeah, it's a little bit of a jagged ladder that you need to figure out how to climb without causing you to downfall. So, since I'm busy with that, my mind is a little bit busy at thinking about the situation that's at hand, seeing like, all right, if I do this, I do this, I do this, and then what happens after that? Of course, you need to have a good rest of sleep, so I'm already doing that. Keeping myself relaxed is also a thing like this, just drawing. Who the fuck cares about what you're gonna be eating tonight? Nah, not me. I'm probably just gonna be prepping some food. It's gonna be probably some cow with veggies and some mushrooms, and then making some oyster sauce with it. Why? Because I'm still having so much spare oyster sauce, and I need to do that. Also, when I'm going visiting my tomorrow, I'm going to be probably visiting my parents again, and I'm also going to make sure that I have the glasses that are empty with me, so that I can, toss them into the place where, you collect broken glass. So anyway, that is also a thing. Yeah, quite a busy schedule actually then, because, Sunday is going to be a thing, Friday is going to be a thing, Thursday is going to be a thing, and, well, I need to figure out a lot of things. Oh well, it happens. So, Where was I? Oh yeah, I was totally dragged on by that, and I now technically need to focus on doing the thing again, which is drawing goddamn wood. So yeah, drawing the bark is a very good idea. So at least I hope it is actually informative, whatever I'm talking about anyway. I'm trying to at least not call nonsense everything. So what I'm gonna be doing with the house I'm now currently living in, that is also a good idea to tell, because, well, you know, it's a good house. It's a good rental house, but I don't want to do too much on it. I do want to do something with it, though, because I want to actually change the garden up. And why do I want to change the garden? Because I really, really don't like the way it looks. It looks way too crowded and way too confused. I don't like it. I rather have something to, you know, be like, oh, look at that, vegetables. Yeah, something useful. If I have a garden, I will use it for the usefulness, not for the badness. So probably gonna be splitting open the garden and then, you know, make it into a proper garden, which provides some food. So technically, I will have some raw food with me every single time, every week. So it would technically give me a cut on buying some groceries, which is not a bad idea. Honestly, it saves a lot of money. The only downside is you need to make sure that you're doing it the right way, and that is a thing that is always a very confusing thing for most people. Not for me. I have planted a lot of groceries when I was a kid. It is not that hard. It's just that you need to make sure that you're doing it the right timing, so that the groceries still live instead of getting frozen to death, which most of the time happens. I once had like pumpkins that were absolutely not suitable for that kind of environment. So technically, you need to put the pumpkins in the summer, and then, you know, you need to clear them up at the beginning of autumn. That is most likely the case. Or, you know, at spring could also work. Just spring and then autumn, and then, you know, when winter comes, you need to be making sure that you have them already away, because then the things go rot. Food. One of the most famous things that you could ever do. Making food, buying food, eating food, it's all healthy. And it's very good for you. I really like food. It always makes me happy to see food, taste it, and then eat it, and then enjoy it. And especially when, you know, you're in a different country. Oh, then the food is like, ooh, this is strange. This is a strange way of presenting the food. I wonder how they come up with it. Ah. Alright. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Drawing the bark. So, as you can see with the bark, it is, as you can see at the bark, it is a bit, it's a little bit of a hectical thing that you need to work around with. It is not always the same thing as you can see. You want to make sure that the bark is always in different ways. You want to give the bark the feeling of bark. So you want to move it around, twist it, turn it until, you know, you get the right amount of bark into it. And then hopefully, you know, once you have the end result, you can see that the bark is actually quite well done. All right. So like this, and then that, and then this, and then that should work. So if I now zoom out, I can see that, you know, this looks nice, this looks nice. This needs to be then as nice as this, so therefore, you know, we need to get this all up and running. And then we can move the bar again towards this part right here. Well, we can technically remove the bar, right? Is that possible? Yeah, we don't need the bar anymore then after that. So I think, since that we're only 90 minutes in, we can actually get this done and this done. So let's hope we can get that up and running. So that is my goal for today. I will try to get this and this up, and then move on to and then, you know, tomorrow we can, you know, fix the top part, and then after that we can start coloring it. And then we have another tree done. Woo! at least when you're drawing things, you always want to make sure that you're doing the baby steps. It is very important. You don't want to overpressure yourself. If you overpressure yourself, you can cause major issues in your workflow, major issues in the detail loss in the drawing, because you're like, oh, I have to do this by tomorrow. I have to do this by tonight. And you're like, yes, correct. You needed to do this by tomorrow, but because of that, you can cause the artwork to lose detail. You're doing like, ha ha ha, I can draw like this now. And then, it turns shitty. It turns into shitty art in most cases. So just take your time, focus on what you need to do, and then, make a schedule like, all right, tomorrow I will do this. Tomorrow then, after that, I will do this. And then you have like an exact kind of feeling of like, all right, if I do this and then that, then it will probably be like next week that I would be able to reach this kind of thing. And it gives you a good heads up of like what kind of drawing you're doing it for and what the things are. So yeah, and I forgot to promote this. Oh well, it's not that problematic to promote the drawing in the server, in the Discord servers that I'm normally on, but the main problem is, well, the scheduled stream failed. Therefore, it would be very bad if I accidentally have people, waiting for it. So yeah, at least I figured out what the problem is now with this goddamn shit. It is very weird. It's very awkward that this is actually a thing that can happen, and knowing that it can happen, I can prevent it now from happening. So tomorrow I will try it again, the same way how I supposed to be knowing that it's supposed to be working. So I'm gonna be doing another scheduled stream 1 hour before, and then just press the button and then go to the stream, and then not alt tab this, and then press the live stream button. That should fix it, and if that is the way of how to fix it, I would be very happy, because well, it's nothing worse than having a stream and then having it scheduled and then totally get ripped apart because of this. It's a very problematic thing, that's for sure. And yeah, we're getting there. We're just doing the thing, the biz, and then after the biz is done, we can call it a lovely day. So yeah, lots of things happened. I did a lot of things anyway. Yesterday I was very tired because I was watching something, and then I forgot, like, oh crap, the stream. Yes, forgot about that, and. It's not my smartest move. I assure you, I'm not the best at doing things the right way because I get distracted so fast. It does mean that when I do when I have distractions, I do have spare energy the day after that, so that's always good. But wanted to do things the way how it's represented. It is not my cup of tea most of the time. So yeah. So what now? Let's see. All right, that should work. Then get here upwards, and then that way down, and then it should be fine. So yeah, as you already have noticed, probably, I'm trying to do the things, all right? I'm trying to get everything recorded, the live streams properly done, and sometimes it fails, sometimes it does do its job, and it's all part of the experience. When you're doing a live stream and things fail, then oh well, oopsie daisy. You better learn from the experience that you did, and I'm very happy upon that. And a learning curve is a very interesting thing, and learning how to live stream is also a thing. It has been 2 years, and I'm finally almost able to do it properly, I think. Yeah, probably. I already have, the way of how to do an intro, so probably gonna be changing that though. I'm gonna probably put it into a more nicer idea, but before that, it's gonna be probably taking, again, probably a month or 3 before I'll be able to do that. But yeah, being able to do the things that I wanted to do, making sure that I have the live streams that I want, and getting the live streams up and running is one of the things that I like. I really don't mind that YouTube is this buggy sometimes with live streaming and combined with OBS, but hey, it's free software. I cannot say, oh no, I did free software, therefore, I should complain about the free software. Nah, I'm not that kind of person. I don't complain about free software most of the time. I'm happy what I got and then work around with it. Work around it, work with it, that is my jam. I have worked many hours with a goddamn awful software system. I have been working my ass off with an absolute trash software system that provided me ways of creating 3D models. And you know how far I got with it? I won second, third prize at a university. So I'm very happy about it. Second, third prize, yeah. It was a D&D model, so I'm very happy that I got that far, that I got this far already upon how to do stuff that I want to do. Now, of course, it's not always the same thing as I always think it would be, but it's very important to realize that, the things you want to do, the things you need to do for the drawing itself come with experience. And it's always nice to know that if you're doing the experience thing, you realize like, well, I'm doing the experience thing, so therefore, I know what I can expect. But if that falls apart, like if I don't have that, then well, sometimes you need to figure out like, all right, since I don't have this, how do I fix that? How do I get from point A to point B? And that's most likely the thing that I'm now working on. Like this right here, it might not look like much, but it's all fine. It's all in the same area. It's all in the same thing. And we can move onwards from point A to point B anyway. We just have to believe that we can do this. And most of the problems that you face when you draw, when you try to learn how to draw things, it is mistakes. They can be big, they can be tiny, and you need to learn from them and continue to work on fixing them. Because if you don't fix them, they get bad. Because if you don't focus on fixing the problem that you're at hand, like for instance with the moth-hawk project, I had problems with the bird. I had to do 4 redrawings of it, I believe it was 4 redrawings of the face. Yeah. It was the body. The body proportion was absolutely horrendous. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as it was before. It was way too tiny face. And now it's much more nicer to look at. Oh boy, I spotted a dot. And like the dot problem is also a thing that you can figure out like, all right, you made a mistake. You put too much you put too much filters on something, therefore causing a main crash in the software system itself. Yes, it happens. Such things happen. If you don't know how to fix them, well, work around them. If you, they will eventually be patched anyway. So if you just report them and then work around them until they get fixed. If they don't get fixed, well, you have worked around them, so therefore you technically prevented them. And one of those things is like, all right, I know now if I want to do a filtering or filter, I should apply it only when I need it to. I don't need to unnecessarily filter them, and I also need to make sure that if I filter something, if I want to put a filter on something, I need to make sure that I have everything that I want to filter be represented in there as much as possible. So that if I use it, the whole filter will take most of it with it, and therefore, not causing a major issue, a malfunction in the pixelation of the drawing itself. And that's the thing. You learn it with age, you learn it with progress, you learn it with trial and errors. You come across them, occasionally, and the more you do them, the better it gets. The more you do this, the better it gets. So it's always good. It's always good and great to figure out something and then get to the point where you want to be. Like with the speed drawings, for instance, I know that I made a mistake with one of the speed drawings. I used too much of a complicated shape. Therefore, the artwork that was created in an hour was absolutely horrendous. It was not even worthy of, a drawing. I was like, holy shit, this is terrible. And why it was terrible? A, I used too thick of a brush. B, I need to finish this. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's absolutely terrible if you do it that way. As I remember, even if you do a speed drawing, you need to make sure that you don't rush things. If you rush things, you fail. Therefore, you try to do your best to make it as good as possible, even in the set of time. Therefore, you need to make sure that if you are doing it, you need to figure out like, all right, what comes first? What do I need to do? What do I need to make sure that I have? What do I need to make sure that I don't do? What do I need to make sure that I do? One of the things is don't use too much of a complicated shape. B, don't try to over detail. C, don't try to say like, well, it will be easy. No, it is not. Speed drawing is one of a hell of a hard thing to do in most cases. It's even though I'm using a very easy style, a very minimalistic style, let's put it that way, more cartoonish style, it's still a speed drawing. Therefore, you need to make sure that you don't use overcomplicated things. So if you are coloring things in, don't use the old-fashioned way of like, I'm gonna just erase a lot of stuff. So use a color background, because otherwise, if you use a white background, you're gonna see every single dirt that you missed. And those things I learned. I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from speed drawing. I learned a lot from, all right, you need to get from one point to another. Go. But do it in a way that do it in an orderly fashion, so that you don't lose track of what you have and what you don't have, and what you can and what you cannot deliver. I had it for instance, with the tiger. The tiger, I had only half an hour. I know that I got very bad at it, yes, but the other ones were actually quite decent. I really liked them. And once I looked at some of them, like for instance, the best holiday of your life, which is just sleeping, I changed a little bit, and that was already enough. I could just do that. So it's not that hard to do the things the right way. It's just that sometimes the way of how to do it is blocked by certain things, and overcoming those things is the way to do it, because eventually you will reach a point where you are like, well, I drew this a week ago. I can do this a second week afterwards. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. The more you do it, the faster you get at it. The faster you get at it, the less time you're wasting upon useless piece of shit, like, figuring out how to do the texture. For instance, with this bark. You're trying to figure out like, oh man, I don't know how to do this. I am not a scientist. What kind of goddamn awful surprise is lurking behind me now? And then eventually you will figure out like, oh, well, I just need to do this or that, or, figure out like, if I just do this or that, it will make my life a hell lot of easier. And that's the thing. That's the real thing. You want to figure out what you can do and how to do it. And the more you do it, the more better you get at it. The more better you get at it, the better it gets. For instance, drawing buildings. I'm not the best at drawing buildings. I admit I am the worst at drawing buildings. I am not that kind of dude that is like, oh yeah, we're drawing buildings. I learned it at mathematic engineering school. Nice. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it's just, it's common knowledge how to draw a building. You use perspectives and all that fancy stuff, and you're drawing a line and all that stuff, and I'm like, lines? Really? You want me to draw lines? You want me to draw fucking lines? The person that only draws organic stuff. Thanks. But yeah, eventually I was like, all right, if I want to do this, if I want to implement this into my work, if I want to make sure that I put this into my work to get better perspectives, I need to figure out how I can produce such lines so I can create a good perspective, even though I'm absolutely terrible at it. So I came across something that is called using a photo and then using that photo to represent the shapes. So you have a photo, you use the photo for the shapes, and then use that photo to create a perspective. So you draw the perspective over the photo, and then you draw then on that as your main entrance. This causes me to learn how to draw a chair. I couldn't draw a chair before. It's absolutely terrible. This is a chair for me. Normally is this a chair. And when I'm using a photo, I am far more suited to draw the chair. Of course, the chair might look a little bit similar towards the original chair, but it's still enough to make sure that the chair is no longer the similar thing. It's not technically copying, because technically you're using only the shape of it and not the actual texture, creation, the creation, the outlines. You don't use those. You just use a photo. So even if you're using a photo to create the drawing, therefore you modify the drawing to create the you modify the photo to create the effect. So most of the photo is already lost in the process while you're creating this stuff. And it helped me a lot. It helped me creating a parasol. It helped me creating a crab. Well, no, technically not. I didn't use a crab for the photo. I only used the parasol, right? Parasol and the beach. Yes, the beach proposition, the way of how things work. Yes. So the beach, the parasol were stationary things that I knew that they were on the photo. But how I did it, however, was I used only the shape of it and then transformed it into my own art style and transformed it into my own artwork. By, figuring out, like, the composition was the same, but it was not the same art style, was not the same. It was not, everything was actually not the same. It was just, a whole brand new picture after that. And that makes it much more better for you. If you want to create something, you pick up a real image. It saves a lot of time. It creates a lot of easy ways of, like, I have no idea how to draw a horse. All right, I will look up a horse, pick up a horse, place the horse in such a way I want it to be. Like, you have a horse face. Well, which way do you want to have the horse? You want to have the horse left, right, forward? It doesn't matter. But if you draw the horse and you pick up a picture instead of a drawing, you don't use anybody's drawing. Then first, it's more safer. You don't learn the art style of the artist, which is important, because if you don't have your own art style, technically everybody could do it, which is bad. If everybody can do the fucking thing that you just did, it makes the art a little bit of a useless piece of shit. Because, well, you technically copy and pasting, which is not a very encouraging thing to do. It's not a thing. It's not making things unique. So by picking up a picture instead of a drawing, you don't learn the art style of the artist. Therefore, you can develop your own art style. Of course, this art style will be first very rudimental. It will be literally just bricks and all that stuff, it's absolutely horrible. Stickman. There you go. It's just Stickman now. So it will be rudimental. So most of the detail will not be represented. Most of the proportions won't be as good as it should be, and you will have lots of trouble getting to the points where you don't have the shapes anymore. So if you want to create a horse, well, good luck making a horse when the hair is not shown in the picture anymore because of it's that deformed. So you need to figure out, like, all right, how do I draw hair on a horse? Well, you can look up images, you can look up drawings, and then you can just, try to follow those paths to victory. It's not bad to look at somebody else's work and see how they got there. It's important to remember, if you follow those step by step, it teaches you how to do it. But then you also need to make sure that you implement it into your own art style to make sure that the other person doesn't get, how do you say that, pirated. Well, old-fashioned pirating, just forging. There you go. You don't forge the other art style of the other person into your artwork, because that's bad. You can pick up certain things of it, yes, but you cannot pick everything of it. It's a bad idea. It's not a very good idea. People will notice. People will notice, and therefore, in any certain type of year, you will get caught. And that causes a lot of trouble, because they are like, oh my god, if you're famous and your art style is literally somebody else's art style, congratulations. You played yourself. It's not smart. It's absolutely the worst case scenario of like, oh boy, how am I gonna say this to you? Yeah, people will realize it, and then, you have a bad reputation because, well, technically you're copying people's art by using your own, by using your skills at copying. It's a skill, don't get me wrong, it's a very niche skill, but it is very not smart to do. It's smart to, just copy bits of it and not everything. Anyway, that's my take on it, on that part. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're drawing bark. Yes, a barking dog doesn't bite. No, indeed. I never have seen a barking dog bite, actually. Most likely because I only see tiny dogs in my area, and they are not a very threatening force. They're like, I am a tiny dog. I am powerful. Woof woof. It's not threatening at all. It's great. All right. Let me just take a look at this. All right. It looks nice. It looks great. Good. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. How much time did we spend? Oh, 40 minutes. Ooh, we're almost there. We got close to it, at least. I almost made the calculation right. We almost got where we want to be, and every single time I talked, I was busy drawing, so that's good. That's also a thing, learning how to continue drawing even though you're thinking. It's not my strong suit, by the way. Absolutely not my strong suit. But since that we're already 40 minutes in, it means that it's almost 5 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, I definitely need to call it quits, because I need to prep my food and then make my food and then, cook my food. Although the food that I'm cooking today is gonna be cow meat, as I said before, but it is not such cow meat. No. It is actually cow meat that you're technically used for soup. How do you say that? How the hell do you say that in English? Is it also soup? Is it just soup? With SOP? Google Translate, please. Tell me the power of Google Translate. Tell me the word. I want to have Dutch. Yes, I want to have Dutch word for soup. SOP, soup. How do you say it how do you sing it in English?
Soup.
Soup. All right, soup. Yeah. Meat for soup. Yeah, it is it's a lovely thing, Don't get me wrong there. It's good. It's good meat, but it is very robust. So you need to technically always cook it for at least 3 hours to get it at least a little bit less robust, less rubbery. Not rubbery, it's more, how do you say that? Very hard to cut. There you go. Very hard to cut it. It's like, you're trying to sew your teeth in teeths in it. No, not teeths. I don't want to have teeths. Tooths in it. Yeah, there you go. Fuck it. I'm gonna go for tooths instead. It's very hard to have your tooths sewed into it. So every single time you try to eat, it's like, got that. It doesn't come loose. And then that is the main issue with that meat. That's why nobody buys it normally. But I like it. Why? Because I'm actually asking the butcher like, hey, can you cut it very small for me? And they are always saying, of course, for you, everything. And I'm like, thanks, butcher. So what I'm doing there is actually making sure that the meat is small. And because of the meat is small, things happen. Yes, things happen. The thing that happens actually is that because the meat is small and cut down to bits, it doesn't want to shrink, and because it doesn't want to shrink, less shrinking. Let's put it that way. The meat is actually very tender instead, and I also don't have to cook it for that long because it's very tiny, and therefore the cooking is halved, or even worse, it is actually less than 30 minutes instead of 3 hours. Which is a good thing for me, but bad for the meat, because the meat is then very easy to use. But people are always asking me, like, why would you use that meat? I'm like, have you any idea how expensive meat is? It's very expensive. So therefore, buying very cheap meat would actually work. And I'm like, all right, what is the best meat you can buy that is very cheap? And then it is always pork. But the main problem with pork is that it is very fattish. It has too much fat in it. Yeah, there you go. Better word. Fat. It has too much fat in it, which causes a major issue when you're trying to, you don't want to lose weight, but you don't want to gain weight. That kind of thing, and you don't do a lot of sports. Like, I only do one sport a week, so I'm not the best at gymnastics. And making sure that you don't gain too much weight, don't get too much of an unhealthy life. You want to make sure that you're doing, making sure that the meat and the vegetables are not too much that you get, so the calories that you're gaining is the same as normal, instead of having like heavy amount of calories, which can then cause too much sugar, which then causes too much fat gain. And yeah, I'm very happy upon figuring out how to cook that meat. It took me like probably a year to finally figure out, like, all right, I have this meat. How the hell am I cooking this? And then it turns out to be, just chop it into tiny bits and making sure that the bits are good, and then having everything enjoying. Of course, I'm still using some pork. The pork I'm actually always using is bacon. And why I'm using a bit of bacon is because of the flavor. I'm not using it to create, because, how do you say that? Because cow meat is not very flavorful, and bacon is one of the most flavorful meat you can get. I always asking, like, all right, I want 3 tiny little slices of bacon, and then I toss them in the pan, bake them up, and then add the cow meat, which then causes the meat to be more of a. Of course, you creating a little bit of more fat on the meat, but it also creates a taste. And the taste is very important because afterwards, after the cooking, it will also go into the rice. And because it goes into the rice will have flavor. And if the rice has flavor, however, the rice is so much more better. If you have flavored rice, it's so much better than non-flavored rice. Because non-flavored rice tastes like fucking water because you cooked it in water. And water doesn't taste like shit. Well, it tastes like shit every single time you eat it or drink it, but it is absolutely terrible to drink. It's like, this tastes absolutely nothing. And then you go to another place and it's like, why does this taste like something? And then you realize that water also has taste. But if it is tasteless, it's cleaner. It's very strange, I know. I went to Iceland where they had like water, but the water was all sulfated. And oh boy, that smelled like rotten egg. So you want to do the dishes? Well, congratulations, you're gonna do the dishes with rotten egg smell. Lovely. Oh boy, I had so much complaints about that. Or you take a shower, but it's rotten eggs now. Amazing. The only way to prevent that from happening was actually doing a cold shower. And trust me, you don't want to do a cold shower of glacial water. You don't want to. You don't. Just don't. Don't even try. All right. I think that's it for today. So, what did we do today? Well, we fixed the goddamn tree pot here. Am I happy? Yes, I am happy. Why? Well, A, I fixed the goddamn tree. B, the thing is still running, so I'm very happy that I achieved such things. I like to thank myself and I, that I have achieved this kind of idea, and that the live stream is still running properly. So, tomorrow, I will try my very best to make another scheduled stream, and this time I hope it won't fail. I won't use the Alt-Tab button, as previously mentioned, to make sure that the OBS is running without crashing itself. Alright, no further ado, I do want to wish you all a lovely day, and I hope you enjoyed my little rambling about everything and everything else what I'm dealing with right now, and I hope you liked it. So until then, I wish you a lovely day, and bye.